Hey, good
Hey,
afternoon. There we go. We're on. What's up, man?
what's up, buddy?
How you doing?
Man, I can't complain about a thing.
Right on. Nice to meet you. Where are you located?
Huntington Beach, California.
Oh, good for you. It's
What
beautiful
about
out there.
you?
I'm in Kansas City, Missouri, right in the middle of America.
Yes, indeed, you are.
Yeah. So my daughter just moved out to San Diego. So about a month and
Oh
a half
yeah,
ago, I was out in the California sunshine. I love it out there.
yeah, dude. It's about right now. It'd probably take me an hour and 45 minutes, maybe 2 hours to get out there.
Okay.
Not too far from me, a little further south.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So you're kind of in the LA area.
Yeah, I'm in excuse me, Orange County. So
Okay.
right now, Tuesday or Wednesday traffic, I'll be in LA in an hour, if
Okay.
that.
Okay, cool. Well,
Yeah,
man,
yeah, yeah.
I love your backstory. I'm looking forward to getting into it. Do you have any questions before we hop
No,
in?
I'm good to go,
I
man.
figured. I figured. Hey, it's great to meet you again. Thank you so much for taking a minute out for the show today. I appreciate
No,
it.
absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. So let's begin our story with this. 6 years ago, this pandemic changed so much about our lives. How did you get through that era, and how has it changed the way that you do things today?
Yeah. Well, I moved from Texas to California in 2020, so right at the beginning of it all, that was pretty crazy leaving Texas to come to California when so many people were, not only locked up per se, but lots of people were moving from California to Texas.
Yeah.
I still get asked all the time, why did you move here from Texas when so many people were going the other way? But I don't know. For me, it was just always a dream, and the timing of everything just lined out for me to get here during that time. How did I cope with it? I don't know. I just got up every day and went through the motions. It didn't bother me. It didn't take too much out of me. I still lived my life. I didn't live in fear of it. I actually got COVID like 4 times. I was homeless when I had it, each time and
Yeah.
sleeping in a hostel. And it got pretty crazy, but I don't know. I just kept living my life.
So let's get into what you're doing now with Crab Crew and everything that's going on. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of 13-year-olds. It's career day, and one of the kids wants to know what you're doing for a living. How do you answer?
I well, I have a degree in audio and video production. I've always had a passion for music. I'm a musician and I love video and film, so I went and got a degree in it. Much later in life, I was like 33, 34 when I went back to school, went back to college. And then I just I just I got out to California and got a job doing that. So I set up concerts and lighting and audio and video production for concerts and private events all around California, Southern California, and then got sober and started telling my story live on TikTok, and then that became my full time job. It's not even a job; it's just a way for me to do something outside myself that I really enjoy doing and building something outside myself.
So take me back to when you were that age. What was your dream gig? What did you want to be when you grew up?
A rock star.
Okay.
I wanted
Okay.
to move to California and be a rock star. End of story. The end. That is it. End all be all.
So where were you from? Where were you born and raised?
Fort Worth, Texas.
Okay, so take me back to the early years of like what got you into music, what got you to kick the habits and get into sobriety, moving to California. How did all of this become who you are today?
Well, I just had a dream, to live here since I was a little kid. I come from a musically inclined family. I always wanted to play guitar when I started watching MTV in the early days of the 80s metal and, all those bands that were running the Sunset Strip at the time. And it took me till I was 35 to get out here, but I just always had that dream. There was always this fire inside me to move out to California and do something with myself. And then things kind of took over with my drug and alcohol addiction, put everything on hold because that was more important. I started playing guitar in local bands all around the Dallas Fort Worth area, and that became a huge part of my life for many, many years. And then, at 42, 40, 42, 43, roughly, I moved to California just on a dream, man. Like I said, I went to the Art Institute of Dallas for school later on in life, and just everything kind of just lined up in a way for me to make that decision. I started getting fearful of living my life and not ever pursuing a dream. Right? I didn't have any plan. I didn't know what was going to happen. There was no all I had planned out was a way to get here.
Yeah.
That was it. It wasn't I'm going to go live in this house in this area. I knew that Venice is where I was going to go because I knew one guy out here and we had kind of linked up a year before and I came out here, hung out with him and kind of got the lowdown of everything. And so I planned it out for a year of all the things I needed to do to get out here, made that decision and packed up my car and just made the trip around LA, for several years and then ended up in Orange County. Um, but then, I ended up getting sober. I met an 85-year-old lady Elaine, who took me in, gave me a roof over my head, um, ended up helping me get sober when I finally decided to, and started making TikTok videos about her and I and this generational help that I found fascinating. Like, why did this 85-year-old lady take a chance on this washed up, skinny, drunk, alcoholic, drug addict? I'm all tattooed up and she is very pristine and the two of us just don't look like we fit in each other's lives.
Yeah.
So that fascinated me. So I started making TikTok videos about her and I living in this house together in Huntington Beach. You never know what she's going to say or do. And I just found it humorous and I found it to be authentic. So I just kept making videos. And about 6 months into my sobriety, I made one normal day video and it went 7 million viral. The
Wow.
next one went 14 million viral. And then my entire TikTok account just kept growing and getting, a lot of attention. At which point I started live streaming and just sharing my story with a handful of people at the time. I just kept doing it and it grew into what today is called the Crab Crew. And it's just beyond my wildest dreams that this would have, ever happened with the way that I've been living my life all my life. So,
So this 85-year-old woman saw beneath everything, saw you for who you were. There was something that she saw. Back early on in your life, did you have that experience where somebody saw you for who you are that maybe allowed you to have this reservoir of strength to get sober and to believe in yourself and to have this viral fame that you have?
sure, I actually have always believed in myself. I always knew that I was greater than what I was doing and could do something positive with my life. I just didn't know when the sobriety would come or how things would change if I did. And perhaps I didn't really even care. And then I was blessed to have the friends that I had in my life and my family. They've always, told me that, Bryan, you could do so much more. You just have this uplifting personality. I love to make people laugh. I love people, but I didn't love myself enough to do anything about it. But I've always had a really positive support group around me that told me, if you could just get yourself together, man, you could do something so much more than the way you've been living your life. And you know, it, I always understood that and I felt that internally, but when and how, that was yet to be seen.
Yeah. So who was
Yeah.
your hero? Was there an inspiration that's allowed you to have this strength to become who you are today?
Eh, I don't know that I have any heroes.
Yeah.
My favorite band is Tool.
Right.
The lead singer of the band Maynard, he has just dipped his hands in so many different aspects and just beyond music, right? But one thing that he said, I heard him say at a young age, was that he's always going to be doing, and whether he's relevant or not is not the point. And he's grateful that people resonate with what he does, but it's not out to shine and be that rock star.
Yeah.
And I really took a hold of that and understood what he meant by it. And it's part of the reason why I do what I do. It's kept me accountable for not only myself, but for other people that truly enjoy the authenticity of not only my life, but what Elaine and I do and how we interact with one another and what sobriety can truly do for somebody if you if you have that drive to live a better life, and realize that there's so much more to be had and to be said for, if you can clean out those negative thoughts in your head and that negative environment and just all that clutter and chaos that I think we continuously put in our heads just growing up, whether that be through billboards or your parents or church or teachers or your grandparents or your friends or just all these different um, entities and marketing skills that we need to look a certain way, we need to behave a certain way, and for me that's never set well with me. I've always gone against everything that is.
Yeah.
And for me, I truly want to experience life instead of life, instead of fighting it and swimming against the current at all times. And I felt that that's how I've always lived my life, is just swimming against the current. And I've learned how to just ride with it now, and adjusting and adapting to what life throws at you instead of fighting it all the time. And that's been really helpful for me to learn how to do that.
Well, sometimes we need angels like Elaine to come into our lives, right?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's always something, we all play roles in each other's lives, but I mean,
Sure.
I see these viral clips of comedians that got their first shot and they're just tore up because no one gave them a shot. They finally got the one shot. That's all you need is that one person, and then you can
Yeah.
dance. Then you can get in there and do it. Yeah,
It's interesting you say that. A lot of people, I don't, I don't think they understand or know the story of how much work those individuals put in, or the struggles that they went into, or that they've dealt with and walked through that fire before all that happened.
yeah,
I think that we look at those situations and think, "Oh, lucky him or lucky her." Well, not necessarily. You have
right.
no idea what that person's walked through to get to that point. And I always find those stories being the most impactful. It's not
Yeah,
so much it is what you're doing now, but how you got there and how you're maintaining it. That, for instance, I hate to bring this up as an example, but it is a perfect example. That girl that had that Hawk Tuah video,
yeah,
right? Goes insanely viral all
uh-huh.
over the world on
Yeah.
every platform. Where's that individual now?
It's gone. She blew it.
Right,
Crypto, poof.
right.
Yeah,
So, I find it fascinating to see in the story of how people maintain those and they keep going on, because it's more important that they get that creative side out of them, or they get that struggle out to other people, and how they maintain that when they're going through their own struggles themselves. We never know what somebody's going through.
yeah.
And it's important to me to understand that and give people that credit. It's just simply being nice to people,
That's it.
right? Just having some kindness in your heart, and also not letting people take that kindness for weakness as well. Um, but yeah, dude, I just enjoy hearing about not just the success, but how you maintain what it is that you're doing
Yep.
because you have a desire to help in some kind of way. A comedian does it because they have a creative side, and
Yeah.
it's because they enjoy helping people laugh and escaping whatever they may be going through.
Which is some of the best medicine. Comedy and music
Absolutely.
will save us. One of my favorite poets, he was out in LA. Charles Bukowski once said, "What matters the most is how well you walk through the fire." Because they're going to be there and we got to go through it. And it's interesting coming from that rock genre, from Tool and all those cats, all of them had addiction and all of these different things that were going on that are all examples. So I got to know from a nostalgic standpoint, what was the first live concert, the first show you saw that absolutely blew you away?
May have been that just took me into a whole nother level. Definitely was Tool, but I'm, like I said, being from Texas and being from Fort Worth, the band Pantera, you
Yeah,
know, grew up in Arlington. And when I first saw them when I was, oh, maybe 18, I think 17 or 18, and maybe even before that, when I was 17, and I saw Marilyn Manson for the first time at Trees in Deep Ellum, the very first show that they ever played in Dallas. I was there. And for some reason, that whole experience just kind of made me even want it, that much more.
Yeah. I went down to Deep Ellum. I went to the Granada back in '04. There was a
Oh
band
yeah,
that I went to
yeah, yeah,
see.
yeah.
I loved it down there.
Oh yeah,
There
absolutely,
was so much character. Um,
for sure.
so let me ask you this. If you can meet one person on the planet right now and have a conversation, have a lunch and talk to him, would it be Maynard? Who would it be? Who would you love to meet and talk to that might help you on your journey with what you're doing?
That's a great question. Gandhi.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I've met Maynard, right?
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to have a real good conversation with him, but it was through a when he put his wine in not Trader Joe's, but one of those big organic stores. I forget which one it was. I was in Dallas and I went and I met him and he signed my wine bottle. And they always say, like, even in the industry that I work in, which is the audio and video production, I work for everybody from God, from big country artists to rock artists. I mean, a lot of cool people that I've had the chance to work for, and everybody always says you don't ever want to meet
Yeah.
your heroes,
Right.
But my life today is more about spirituality and growing as a person.
Sure.
So I love the talks about and reading books that are all about how to be a better version of yourself and growing within as the outside world will show you what you truly have on the inside. And so I think anything that has to do with that spirituality side would be more or less who I would like to have a conversation with.
Have you know the thing, coming from the Midwest, and even in Texas, there's a big, huge backbone of spirituality. There's churches everywhere. It's a part of the doctrine of growing up. But we all have to find our own spiritual path and spiritual awakening. Have you had that moment where you felt maybe the warmth from the other side or some level of conviction that there's a higher power? Have you had that awakening?
For sure. I grew up in a really Southern Baptist Christian home, and I always knew that there was something greater than myself, but I didn't believe in the doctrine of what the preacher was teaching. There was something in me that always knew that there was a light inside that was from something else greater than myself. I didn't understand it. And but part of the reason why I started drinking and doing drugs was because of all the emotions and energy that I felt from the outside was so overwhelming that when I started drinking and doing drugs, it allowed me to breathe and sit back and relax in the strangest of ways. But I always knew that there was a power greater than myself. And I felt it from a really young age. My grandparents were big in the church. My grandfather was a deacon. My great grandmother played the organ and the piano. So did my grandmother. And so I always believed in a power greater than myself. I just didn't believe, like I said, in the doctrine of it all in the way that they to me it was like a business and it wasn't about it was about it was about separation.
Yeah.
And that to me is what I didn't agree with because if God made us, if we are from something greater, then that means we are God in a sense, and God is within us, and as we are within Him. So we're all connected. It's all energy, frequency, and vibration. So how could it be separate? I
Yeah.
don't need to go find God. I don't need to go find Jesus. I don't need to go find Buddha. I don't need to go find all of those things are already a part of our genetic makeup in my humbled opinion. So when you're able to tune into that and understand that we are a part of the creation as a whole, for me, it allows me to see it in a more peaceful, joyful, grateful way, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
totally does. So let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into the 18-year-old version of you. You walk into a room, okay? You walk into a room and there's a film projector and you click play and a 60-second highlight reel of your life comes up. Is that young version of you even going to believe that your
No,
life turned out this
no,
way?
no, no. I really didn't know that I would make it past 30.
Yeah.
I, I truly just did not believe that my life would make it past 30. The direction that I was heading through, the jails, the prisons, the amount of drugs and alcohol that I was consuming on a daily basis were enough to, I've had several friends die of drug and alcohol overdoses, and I just didn't think I would make it, especially all the heroin that I was doing at the time. And I had a couple of friends die of heroin overdoses, and I just figured that would be me,
Yeah.
So.
So when you look at that 60-second highlight reel, what are you the proudest of? What stands out?
of where I'm at now versus then.
Yeah,
Wow. Um, I if I were to look at myself, I would be able to see straight through that. Huh. I would see that there was a fire in me,
yeah,
and I just didn't know where to direct it.
yep, absolutely. So everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, everyone that watches your videos, that knows the crew, everything that you're doing, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Joyful, peaceful, grateful, loving, caring, kind, courageous, strength, wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and I I truly do just overflow with joy. That doesn't mean that every moment of my life is easy because it's not. A lot of times, I think people look at me and what I'm doing, and I'm always outside, in Huntington Beach on my live streams, and it's gotten to the point where a lot of people know me and they say hi to me and they come up and they want pictures and things like that, and the beautiful sunshine in the ocean and the house I live in. But like we were talking about earlier, they don't unless I've told them and they know the story, the backstory, they think that everything in my life is just perfect and just this grand thing. But there's still struggles on a day-to-day basis. The emotions of still learning how to be sober and dealing with the gratitude of life. And it's not always easy because I live close to downtown and I see the party and I smell the weed. I see the drinking and the laughs and the hooting and hollering. And it's even though I have no desire to go backwards, I see that and I still often wonder, man, why can't I just go have a beer with some friends? You know, why is my makeup different? But I just know that, that's not an option for me anymore because if I don't have a gradual decline, I jump right off a cliff. So I think, just I still have bad days. I still have struggles, even though 99.9% of my life is beyond my wildest dreams. It's still a daily progress. It's work.
Well, and that's the thing, anytime you do kick a habit, there's always going to be that level of life that's going to come in on you, and your body has a memory, so it's always going to be a struggle to get to that point where you just it's over. I remember reading Steven Adler, the original drummer of Guns N' Roses. I
Yeah,
remember
yeah, yeah,
reading his bio and how many times he relapsed and what he went through. And I think he was the one that revived Nikki Six when Nikki was going through his OD. I think he
yeah.
was in a shower and he just grabbed him and threw him in and cold water. And just those stories are harrowing. But the bottom line, every time I get to the end of those books, there's always an opportunity to change your life. It's never too late. No matter how
It's
rock
never
bottom,
too late.
you know, there's
Right.
always a chance.
It's a great point. I was I got so terrified when I decided to get sober of a few things. Not being able to laugh again, not having fun again. How am I gonna enjoy life without you know being taken out of it in a sense
Yeah.
through a different mindset because of the drugs and alcohol. And then I started realizing that, well, I want to know a different Bryan. I want to know what I'm really capable of and enjoying life from a different perspective. And once I got solid in that belief and that idea of wanting more, that made it a little bit easier. And it still makes it a little bit easier in a sense that I I already know what that life is like because I've lived it for so long. If I'm given another 30 or 40 years, I want to do something completely different. And that alone drives me. And I have this desire to just show people that it's not too late. You're not too old. You're not too dumb. You're not too stupid. You're not too lazy. You're not too filled with depression. You're not too filled with all this chaos in your brain that's telling you you're not worth it or that you can't have it or that you can't do it. bringing that out in people, just the opposite, which is where the whole crab crew thing kind of started. It's a real thing, the crab mentality. Um, it's a real theory that if you put crabs in a bucket, the one that tries to crawl out, the rest of them will pull it back down. And it's called the crab mentality. So my job and my desire in life now is to break that cycle. I got out of it because I had a burning desire to change my life. So if I can help the next person start living and realizing their best life and their best capabilities and their purpose and their gratitude for simple things in life, like waking up and having another day, right? A roof over your head, shoes on your feet, clothes on your back, food in your stomach. Staying grateful for the little things and not living in the past because you can't go back and change it.
Yeah.
It is done.
Yeah.
It is done. It's a part of your story and it can be changed.
Yeah.
And bringing that mentality out of people so they can turn around and help the next person is my true passion now.
So I want to end this on a high note. Let's say you can get into a time machine and go back in time and see one concert. Where are you going? What are you going to see?
Ooh, uh, Tool in Dallas. I think it was at the conventions. No, not the Fort Worth Convention Center. Tool, right when their third album came out, when Maynard was still dressing up all crazy
Uh-huh.
and why I don't know why the album is drawing a blank now with the one with Stinkfist and 46 and 2 and all
Yeah.
that on it.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm drawing a blank right now. My favorite band, but that album when
Yeah.
he was dressed painted in blue and
Uh-huh.
combat boots and boxers and just going crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that show
Totally.
for sure.
That'd be it. So, Crab Crew, if anybody wants to get involved, they want to dive in, any and all of the wonderful work you're doing, where do they go?
Uh, my TikTok is just Bryan Blackmon, Bryan Blackmon, Blackmon. And then crabcrewlife.com is where I've started building my transformation course. It's a 6 weeks course that I offer people, and it's one-on-one talking, and it's a transformation. I can't stand the word course. It's not a course.
Right.
It's it's a true transformation experience that can help you make better decisions from the time that you get up to the time that you go to sleep, that can rebuild and help you adapt and become resilient when life hits you and how to bounce back from it and stay the course.
I love it. I will put links in the show notes. Brian, what a great story, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
The,
Thank you
the
for
grit, the
having me.
courage. I appreciate it, man. Thank
I
you.
appreciate you. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. And I will put links, or I will have this done pretty quick. I'll have it
Okay,
out to you tomorrow. So I
perfect.
love these stories, man. Thank you so much. And keep spreading
Yeah.
the light out there, man. We need
Thanks
it.
for having me, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Take
All
care.
right, man. Bye.